Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Curbside Podcast. I am your host, Jay Kirby. And tonight we're starting an interesting series here on the Curbside Podcast. We are starting I want to call it a character study, but I think that might be too bold a statement. But what we're doing is we're going to start sitting down with each member of the Dice Hard with a Vengeance cast, the party, the Menagerie, as we're lovingly known in our group chat. And tonight we have the pleasure of being graced by Tarook Bloodfist tonight, also known as professional wrestler Manabo. Thank you for joining me, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all my pleasure. It's my pleasure and honor to be the first one to do this, baby. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. This is going to be fun. So basically what we're going to do, this is just for the crowd. We're going to sit here. We're going to talk about where the idea of Tarook started, where it is now, how much that changes. And then after everyone has gotten their turn, basically, this is going to all lead up to a big Dice Hard After Dark live stream where we're all just going to get absolutely wrecked and talk all about D&D. Oh wait, hold on. I forgot one more feature there, Tarook, that I get to use on this new board. Pardon me, ladies and gentlemen, for testing a new toy during an actual interview. But Tarook, we're gonna get faced.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, tap the little bell, you're in YouTube app so you never miss an upload, and buy the t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com. Also, shout out to our sponsors, Raise Energy at repsports.com. Use the promo code Curbside8 at checkout. And Jerky Pro, also Curbside8 at checkout. Get you a special discount. Get you guys some very, very well quality jerky. Some great energy drinks. I was actually drinking the Apollo flavor this morning for Raise, and I think I'll have a South Beach tomorrow. So, but now that all the announcements are out of the way, Tim, my friend, Tarook, Manabo, whatever you want to be called tonight, I got to ask, where did this all actually, hold on. Before I ask you a question, I have to tell the whole world how this party came to be, because it is technically 100% your fault.
It is 100% my fault.
So what, a little over 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, probably just before the pandemic.
I think somewhere right in the middle, because I'd already had the knee surgery, but I was barely walking at the time. So for everyone watching at home, Tim reaches out to me and he says, hey, me and my friend George want to play D&D. And at this time, I had not played D&D in years. I've always liked D&D, but I hadn't found
a party to play with.
Well, yeah, I hadn't found a party to play with. I had consistent. That's the word I was looking for. I haven't found a consistent party to play with. I'd only been doing maybe a one shot here, a one shot there. And so Tim reaches out to me and he's like, hey, we want to play D&D. And we had talked about this years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, yeah, I'm down. And this was in the infancy of Curbside. And so I was like, hey, Tim, do you mind if we record the sessions and post them for the YouTube content? And you said yes. And then we started building the party, started getting people together, and
away we went.
Here we are 2 years later. It's been a ride.
Hell of a ride, man. Exciting
Absolutely.
ride. A lot of ups and downs.
Oh yeah, all of them. Okay, so now getting into it, you play Tarook Bloodfist, the werewolf barbarian.
Yes.
Where did the idea for Tarook even start?
All right. Well, All right, so like you said, I play Tarook Bloodfist. I am a Goliath werewolf barbarian. And so basically, um, Tarook came from my favorite superhero, the Hulk. Growing up as a kid, I loved the Hulk because as a kid and a teenager and in my early 20s, I had a lot of anger issues. So I was always,
You're
yeah,
preaching
I
the
was
choir on that one.
yeah, I was always flying off at the handle and smashing things and like scaring people and stuff like that, and like what helped me like what helped me start to get a grip on it as the years went on and I got older was Hulk, was, realizing that, there's nothing wrong with being angry, you know, like as long as you know, can control it. You know what I mean? Learning to control your emotions and get a hold on that, and there's a time and a place for you to, be angry, and fly off the handle and, and hit things, whatever. And then there's not good times to do that. You know what I mean? And that's what the Hulk, Marvel did for me was, help me. So, I really based Tarook off of that. And I also growing up as a kid, I've always loved powerhouses. Like I guess it's because like when I was little, I always wanted to be just a big, tall powerhouse. And I thought I was gonna be this giant 6 foot plus, you know, human being growing up because I was always taller than my uncles. At a young age, I was one of the tallest and biggest kids in my kindergarten class, first grade, second grade. So I always thought, and was told like, man, I'm gonna be a monster one day, and I just ended up, not getting there. I mean, I'm 5'10", so I could be shorter, and I realized that, over the last, few years that I could be shorter, and I'm fine with that. So, I'm happy to be as tall as I am now, but I was always, hoping that I could be, 6'4" and, taller. But that's where Tarook Bloodfist comes in, baby. Tarook is this just big, like V said, just this big mountain of muscle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the dude. Yeah, he's the dude that nobody wants to mess with. He's the guy that you see coming from a distance, and when he gets right up close to you, you marvel at him. He's a dude that you're in a bar, no matter how drunk you are, you're not gonna mess with that dude. And if you do, it's gonna be lights out for you, period. And that's, you know, I I embody Tarook. It's just like, you know, everybody at home, and like when you play D&D, you're always putting some of yourself into a character, and like I'm the type of person, like I know that I'm not the biggest dude. You know what I mean? And but I have that big man's attitude. Like nobody messes with me. But people mess with me, like it happens, but like nobody messes with Tarook. You know what I mean? And like that's where my inspiration for Tarook came. And the werewolf side is again based on Hulk. You had Bruce Banner, and then he turned into Raging Hulk. You got Tarook Bloodfist, and then he turned into a giant werewolf. I also love, my favorite animal are wolves, and I loved werewolves in movies like Van Helsing and
Yes.
yes,
Still,
and like
still my
Twilight.
favorite interpretation of werewolves is Van
Yes,
Helsing.
yes,
The movie might not be a quote unquote classic, but I think it's underrated. And at
yes,
least that depiction of werewolves, I love it.
yes, absolutely. And then like American Werewolf in London, the comedy horror, like just werewolves in general, like again, big scary powerhouses. Like, who's gonna mess with a werewolf? Like, you know what I mean? So, and that's
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's where I got the inspiration for Tarook Bloodfist. And the name I actually, so I don't think anybody knows this, and this is the first time like I'm gonna tell anybody. So I took from the movie Avatar when he calls Jake Sully Tarook Makto.
Mhm.
uh, I took Tarook,
Okay.
and then Bloodfist was just the most typical
the
barbarian.
the most like testosterone based like name
Yeah,
you could come up with. Like
yeah, like just like
what's
your typical barbarian
what
name.
what was it? Lego Movie 2 Rex Danger Vest, like that.
Yes.
That's the kind of name that you came up with. You're like,
Yeah.
I need a name, Blood Fist. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's how I was, and I knew I had a great name when George came down the stairs, and I was like, George, I have a name, and he's like, what is it? And I was like Tarook Bloodfist, and he kind of like did like a slight step back, and he puts his head down, and shakes his head, and he was like, yeah, man, that's pretty damn good. And I was like, I got it. Yes. I was like, yeah,
You got the George seal of approval there.
yeah.
No, I get where you're coming from with a lot of I've seen it online and I've heard people talk about it before where a lot of D&D characters, at least the ones that you play the best, are always characters that you might not see yourself in, but they're aspects of, not so much like it is exactly who you are. Granted, there's a lot of bleed over when it comes to you and Tarook, and there's a lot of bleed over with me and Torin. But
Yes.
whenever it comes to the things we want, like the things we always imagined we wanted. So you always wanted to be the big, tall, muscly guy. So you put a lot of that in Tarook. I play another I don't get to talk about this one on the podcast hardly ever. I play another character in another campaign called Quincy, who is a gnome. He's small, so he doesn't get to rely on brute strength. He is an artificer, so he's super intelligent, and he's
Nice.
always using his wits and his mind and trying to invent his way out of things. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of things that I wish I could do. And I think that's where a lot of Taruk comes from you, is things you wish you could just walk in a
Yes.
room like this and everyone, all right, back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. 100%. Absolutely. I also, everybody knows Taruk loves the ladies. I love the ladies. Yes, I have a fiance. I have a beautiful daughter. I have a wonderful family. Um, you know, uh, I'm a flirt, and Taruk is a
No,
flirt.
no, you
You,
don't say. You're a
no, you don't say.
flirt.
Can I live? But so that's again the bleeding over into your character.
Listen,
You
man,
know what I
some of
mean?
your flirts I can't repeat on this podcast. So it it definitely, there's a bleed over effect, and thank goodness that we can't always steal some of those quotes.
Yeah, you're right.
Uh so with that, knowing where Taruk started, where did you want to take Taruk? What, like, if you, when you first created this character, was like, I guess you could call it the end goal. What was like Taruk's good ending if he was a video game character? At least when you first started. When you first started. No campaign since. Because that's another question for later in the interview. I promise you. Where
Well,
did you want to take Taruk when you first got him?
well, before the campaign started, where I wanted to take Taruk was I wanted Taruk to be the most badass legendary barbarian to ever live. That's what I wanted. I mean, I wanted him to be, a character taken and put in the next edition.
Mhm.
Like that's what I wanted. I envisioned Tarook, me playing Tarook so well, and us catching momentum and people seeing it, and like I wanted people to remember who Tarook Bloodfist was. Like I said, I wanted, the D&D world to just praise Tarook and be like, you know what, I'm gonna base my barbarian off of Tarook.
I can respect that. As far as storyline wise, what did you want? Where did you see Taruk's story going before the campaign started? Because boy,
Um,
mine sure got thrown out of whack.
well, when I came up with it, I knew that, like I said, I want to be a barbarian. I also want to play a werewolf. So I was like, why not be, a barbarian werewolf, and
Mhm.
let's go from there. And I started putting like pen to paper, and, I wanted it to be, you know, again, bleeding into into the character.
Mhm.
um it's no secret, like I get cocky a lot. you, you know you know me,
Oh
Kirby.
yeah. Oh yeah.
You know me. So like Taruk was going to be that way, that he was the best, like he was ready to be the leader of, the herd. Like there's nobody better than Taruk. He's number one. He doesn't have, like, he wakes up and he pisses excellence. But I mean,
We
like,
took that in two opposite directions because all I heard was no one fights like Taruk. No one fights like Taruk.
yeah, it's basically, yeah, it's head stop, baby. You know,
Um,
yeah, that's what I wanted Taruk, like,
okay.
for, you know, and again, what more badass way to be this legendary, figure, than to be the biggest, strongest, fighting, smashing, class that you could think of. And,
Oh yeah.
it's, hey, I did it.
Oh, absolutely. I think you've done a fantastic job playing the team barbarian.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, with all of that, what is something that's happened in the campaign that you didn't expect for Taruk? Whether that be maybe he became friends with a certain character, maybe he chose left when you thought he would always chose right. What's something that really threw Taruk what you would consider off track, but may end up being like a great moment for him?
Ah, man. Um, yeah, I think realizing, like, you know, Taruk being cursed, you know, like, as a werewolf. And, you know, one of the points was, when we were doing session 0, and we were explaining our backgrounds, and Tim did
Mhm.
a fantastic job
Oh,
DMing
yeah.
that. It was phenomenal. And it really sunk in, where it was like, all right, like, it comes from a long line of werewolf hunters, because I wasn't just like a werewolf from the start. No, like that, it was always supposed to be, I was going to be a werewolf, but it was like, how was I going to be a werewolf? And Tim
Right.
helped me come up with that idea, and, you know, and, and the way that we RP'd it, it was great. And it, from the start, Taruk had, development, right then and there, when he got too cocky and he didn't see the alpha, and it got him and his sister, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then they ultimately got banished by their father, and now, you know taking the journey, going further, like Tarook is like, lost with it,
Oh, absolutely. I think it's interesting, at least something that caught me off guard with as far as your story. The two things that caught me off guard was A, the uh the romantic date with V, because
Yes.
A, I never thought she'd say yes. B, I didn't think Taruk would actually pull it off. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
The other thing was the I don't remember her name, and I'm sorry, Tim, when you watch this, but the moon goddess that Taruk meets later, where he gets
Oh,
the ring, where you find out that Taruk's father has been praying for him to be safely returned. And then, ladies and gentlemen, you have to remember that time has worked different in this campaign. Taruk has been gone from home. What, when the campaign first started, he'd been gone what, couple months, maybe like 6 months,
yeah, I would say 6 months to maybe a year.
give or take six to a year.
Yeah.
Then we jump forward. What was it? 7 years, 4 years, 4 years. You're right.
4 years, yeah.
We jumped 4 years in the future. So is this just heartbreakingly just beautiful moment where you find out Truk's dad's been praying for him for 5 years. I was
Yeah.
in, I I was holding back tears sitting at this
Nah,
computer.
yeah, that moment, in that moment, like I was thinking in my head, I was like, I in that moment, I almost like had to stop playing because I didn't know how to react. Because when Tim was like, was like, your dad has been praying for you,
Mhm.
for all these years, it really, really hit me personally, and it
Oh yeah.
hit Taruk, so I was like, damn, yeah, man, like, no, I feel this, and like that, it was more growth. And I think that's when it clicked into Taruk's head, like, all right, like, you got to, you're gonna get a hold on this thing. You're gonna speed Taruk. You're not gonna lose control. You're gonna find your sister. You're gonna go back home. You're gonna, lead the horde. You're gonna reunite with your friends and your family. You're gonna make peace with this.
Oh yeah.
And um as for the date, so, so since,
I
since
want to
we're
hear
on,
the backstory because they don't. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't get told what's gonna happen. We kind of roll with it. So when I
yeah.
find out that Taruk is gonna or Tim is gonna RP Taruk and V going on a date, I go, what in the world is this idiot gonna do? Because part of me like pictured Taruk in like a really fancy restaurant with like a suit that's too big, like a size too small, and like very daintily trying to push in the chair, and then like the suit rips and he just gets mad and smashes the table.
Smashing the
Well,
table.
like that's what I imagined happening, and what happened was almost so much better. So please, where did that all come from?
All right, so I needed a way to tell V.
Right,
Uh, Taruk needed a way to tell V that he was a werewolf.
right,
Eh, And it was I didn't want it to be some dull moment where it's like, oh, we saved you. Nice to meet you, V. And party, by the way, I'm a werewolf. No,
right.
I wanted it to be cool. Like, I wanted it to be epic. I wanted it to be surprising. I wanted it to be a little bit scary. Like everything you could think of. Like, and me being Taruk being me, you know me, I was like, I'll ask V on a date. Now, I was nervous personally because, you know, V being married, you know, We're like everything
Mhm.
like that. And Joe, awesome dude.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, Olive, who plays Lady V, is actually married to Joe, who plays or played
Owen.
Owen. He'll eventually be back, I think, but he played Owen. So they're actually married in real life outside of the game, which is very fun to watch, by the way. And I can't wait to ask them about that.
100%. So much fun listening to those two. But yeah, so like I was just so nervous, and I didn't know V or Joe personally. Like I met them through you,
Right.
through this. I've never even met them in person. I hope that changes one day. But yeah, fingers crossed. But so it was nervous for me because, like I said, I didn't know them, and I didn't want anybody to think like, hey, Tim is just trying to be perverted about things and whatever. So because today's world, like,
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
and like
100%
I
understand
didn't
that.
want to disrespect V or Joe,
Right.
but me being the type of person that I am, I was like, YOLO, I'll just do it because shoot or shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, and it turned out great. And V and Tim and we had messaged. V had messaged me about her idea, and I had told her, I said, listen, I promise you, it's not going to be nothing, uncomfortable, anything like that. Like, I just want V, you know, for V to know what Tarook is, what he's going through. And I just want to keep it a surprise because I want your genuine reaction. And that's what I wanted for, the content. I
Mhm.
wanted Liv's actual reaction to what this date was. And Tim and I came up with such a great idea, and you all saw it,
Oh
and
yeah.
you guys can go back and watch it. Like the puppet show was my idea. Um, the revealing of it was my idea. There's the only thing that we didn't get to do on the reveal in the woods was I was going to try to push it as far as I could and be so cringy because I wanted all of your guys' reaction. You, George, I wanted all you guys to see, and was supposed to Tim and V get to that spot into the woods, and Tarook's like, all right, this is a perfect spot. And I was gonna start taking off my furs, and I
Oh
and
no.
I was going to slowly pull down Tarook's, fur
Oh god.
pelt. But the way I was gonna do it was I was gonna do an anime style where I activate my moon ring in silence and moon shoots out from my crotch. So it was so you all had right. That's the reaction I wanted. So you all had the vision in your head, and you can all and like out of character, you all could be like, I can't believe Tim is really doing this. Like,
Oh
are
yeah,
you
100%.
like right like I wanted that reaction, and then just to drop the bomb, and then just moonlight shoots out of Tarook's crotch, and then he turns into this giant werewolf revealing to be, that's what it was. But it was pretty cool the way still, and then the way that, Liv RP'd it, I think was perfect because
Oh yeah.
uh, I'm actually glad she didn't do the whole typical, afraid damsel in distress thing. Like she acted as if he would really react to
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh my god. I'm almost glad that that didn't work.
But
Um, the
it was perfect though.
the craziest part is we don't get to talk about this hardly ever on the stream. Is we have we have two group chats. We have a group chat for announcements, so I can be like, all right, hey everyone, be at the session at 7 o'clock, so we can get started by 7:30. I want to be live by 7:30. Don't be late. Then we have another group chat that Tim is not in, so we can just BS through. Or hold on, let me try this one more time. So we can just bull throughout the I'm gonna play with that button all the time. I'm sorry.
Yes,
So
yes.
we can just BS through the session, going, either discussing what's going on or trying to like plan what we're gonna do during each turn for like battle. And I know that's a little bit metagamey, but it's better than trying to interrupt one another during a live stream, so we all have like the group chat to talk. So
it makes it easier that way.
Watching scenes like this where Tarook is being Tarook and he's just being super cringy towards Lady V, and the group chat's blowing up. Tim, what are you doing? I can't believe he's doing this. Oh dear Lord, what's about to happen? That's all that happens every single week. It's almost funnier than what we stream sometimes. Is what's going on in the group chat.
The group chat with all the gifts and everything.
Yeah. Oh, gifts for days.
Yeah.
But just I think one of my favorite things just about this group, about the campaign so far, is everyone's reactions to everything, and how and I want to dive into this one when I get to interview George, because it's little tiny things like Tarook like Tarook flirting with V becomes Tarook going on a date with V so that he can tell her, hey, by the way, I'm a werewolf, when everyone else learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Hey, why is Tarook getting all furry? Hey, Tarook, why are you taller? Yeah. Oh, this isn't gonna go well.
This is not well at all. Yeah, and yeah, that's another thing. I get taller. Like, I'm already 8'10".
Yeah.
So as a werewolf, I go to like 10 feet. Like, it's crazy, you know? Oh man.
Yeah, it's crazy how just little things become full running. I don't even want to call them running gags, because some of them aren't funny. Some of them literally have become character traits.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to see them bloom from this little one little mention, or this one little joke becomes like a whole arc. And with Tarook, that's half of what everything Tarook does, is these little things that just grow out of control.
Yep.
So and I'll bring this up because it's been a while, so things have cooled off. What was interesting is early in the campaign with Tarook, and we've talked about this since, and I want to talk about it here, is how interesting RPing can go in every session. Because I remember specifically early, this is like maybe episode 12, 13, when we're in the bugbear cave.
Oh yeah.
And Tarook decides he's gonna fight the bugbear chief. He wants to fight the whole room. And legitimate, the players got heated at Tim. We're like, what are you doing? You're gonna get us all killed. And then we turned it into, and we used the RP of the session to basically work through any kind of problems we had with the player, which I think is really interesting and really builds the bonds with the party, with the group, with the players themselves. Because when you have these really, really good RP sessions that just bounce off one another, because outside of Torin confronting Tarook, none of that was planned. It was just it was basically me as Torin coming to Tim going, yo, you can't go doing stuff like that. You're gonna get us hurt. You're gonna get us in trouble. Yeah. And you and me as friends, like, using these characters to work through a problem that we had. It's I find RP and Tarook's really, really good. Well, you playing Tarook, you really, really shine during some RP moments.
Thank you.
So absolutely.
You've all had your moments, you know. Everybody gets theirs.
Oh yeah. So I really think stuff like that really brings this group, this party that we've made together. Because some games that I've played in, they don't have that kind of RP, and the group isn't as tight knit,
Right.
and they're not as close, and they're not. I can use a great example because spoiler alert, because I doubt he'll ever make an appearance. Quincy in my other campaign, Quincy is a gnome. No one knew Quincy was a gnome. I
Right.
had him hidden in armor, and he's basically a gnome artificer who pilots his armor instead of wears his armor. So
Nice.
I legitimate didn't know anyone at the table. So Quincy didn't trust anyone at the table. So I didn't just break out this secret, kind of like Tarook. You had to get to a point where you went, okay, Tarook needs B to trust him, and B needs to trust Tarook, and Tarook needs to trust V. So you went to Olive and said, I want to do this,
Yep.
which I find just amazing and leads to such a cool moment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It was yeah, I wanted to be able to, like you said, trust everybody. You know, the way that you all found out how Taruk was a werewolf was obviously out of my control, but I was okay with that. I
Mm-hmm.
was cool with it. I think it made great sense to do. It made
Oh,
a great
absolutely.
point in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for our future RP, if you go back into episodes like between conversations between Taruk and Torin, that gets brought up, about how Taruk doesn't want to lose control again like he did in the Shadowfell. you
Right.
know Whereas when I'm RPing with V, we refer back to that moment, where Taruk and V had that connection,
Mm-hmm.
you know in that, point in time, you know
Absolutely. And that, circling back to where the Taruk and V line started, what I find interesting and something that I've seen a lot in the D&D community is, because you said you didn't want things to be awkward with V, and you didn't want things to be awkward with Joe, and you
yeah,
just didn't want to make things awkward in general.
right.
So what I've seen through other players, I've seen through TikTok, I've seen through all of the D&D media that I freaking consume on a daily basis, which I could stop when I want. I don't want to.
I don't want to. I don't have a problem. Leave me alone.
It is how you can learn and gain trust with people that, like you said, you don't know Olive. You've never met Olive in person. How you can use D&D and you can use an RP session to really make connections like that. And it's super. And I want to preface this just as like a serious moment for like 2 seconds, and then I have fun questions for you, I promise.
Are
Is
you good?
how important, like you said, how important it is to make sure that people who are at your table. Now, granted, I only say that it's my table because I have to record all you yahoos.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
Tim is the DM, and Tim can put a kibosh on anything that is no bueno. But like
yeah.
making sure people are comfortable at your table, and making sure everyone is comfortable with playing with one another is super, super important. And it helps the game, and it helps the people at the table enjoy the experience more. So
Yeah.
the fact that you did stuff with Olive and Joe and understood those boundaries, I mean, it speaks for you. You know, you know, really shows that you understand that. And I just, this is my little 2 minute or 2 second TED talk of trusting people and making sure that people are comfortable at your table. But that's my soapbox for the night. I'll get off that high horse. But that was just something that I've seen talked about, and you brought it up, and it just is a really it's a really interesting topic that not a lot of people think about until it happens, and they're like, huh. That's interesting. I never thought I would need consent at a D&D table.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's the truth. Like, I feel like a lot of like, posts that I see like on Facebook or like Instagram or Twitter of like these D&D pages we follow,
Mhm.
you know, a lot of them that stem from parties, splitting up or stopping or two characters leave is because, somebody, somebody said something in character to a female's character, and it just all around just made uncomfortable. They split up. It was, something sexual said that a person in character, you
Right.
know, and the other person took out of character, was really offended by it, felt uncomfortable, stuff like that. You know, again, I I didn't ask, Joe, if that was cool.
Mm.
Which I probably should have, but I just, me as a person, I just go, all right, YOLO, let's just do it and see what
Right.
happens, shoot or shoot, and, you know, go in there, guns a blazing, basically,
Right.
so, um, but it turned out well. It was
Oh,
all in fun taste,
absolutely. It was
content.
probably one of the better moments from the more recent campaign issues.
Yeah.
Sessions, sorry, campaign sessions. So, speaking of recent moments and moments in the campaign, what has been some of your Taruk highlights? Like, I know one of my
Well,
what are some of your favorite Taruk moments? Because I know my favorite Taruk moment, and it's a running gag that I hope happens again, and that is when Taruk threw the javelin for the first time and incinerated some poor
the
defenseless
bandits to
bandit.
save me.
I am dying for Tim to pull a Matt Mercer and just one day we run into more bandits and like, oh no, it's him. Everybody run. What is that about? It's the ones that killed Jim.
Yeah, oh man. I love that moment. Uh I think, I mean, there's so many that Taruk has personally have. I love, Chicken Taruk. I mean, I
Oh,
think that was
chicken Taruk.
I
I'm
mean,
still
and
working on plushies for that. I swear
yeah,
I am. It's
oh
hard
yeah,
to find custom made plushies.
and the whole running gag of every time I lay down next to Corrales, I just right in his ear. Where, yeah, well, oh man, Chicken Taruk was there. My interaction with Zeus. I mean,
Oh my
yeah,
god. Yes.
yeah. I mean, Tim was. I was trying to push Tim so hard. That man, that was.
Oh no, Tim was
Oh,
ready for that because Tim 100% intended Zeus to be just a bro.
yes, yes, 100%. Let's see. Going back to the Bugbear Cave. That was such a high moment for Taruk and for me. You know, um, and we got great RP out of it because,
Oh,
like you
absolutely.
said, like, I did anger you guys about that, and then, Belden and I, in the chat, we had a little dispute, so when we RP'd that, that was actually coming out, you
Mhm.
know, but that was a good moment for Taruk. So I really don't know if I have a favorite moment. I'm kind of like John Cena. Like, my, favorite moment will be the next moment. Like, that's
Right.
just, like, I think all of the things that, Taruk has been able to do, where I did the crazy superhero jump landing into the boat, to,
Yes.
yeah,
Session 2.
yeah, like like that session there, where I mean, all of my grapple stuff.
Taruk saving Torin. Oh, he lost his sound, but I was saying Taruk saving Torin from the Rock. Just
Yes, yes.
legitimate. Who
I was
knows?
just about to say that. Yes, I
Torin
think
might. I don't know what would have happened. I honestly don't. I've asked him like 3 times. either A, Torin would have woken up in a bird's nest in orbit because that's how high up it would be, or B, he would have fallen from orbit because the rock would have dropped him.
Yeah,
So
that
like
was
Tarook legit saved Torin.
you 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 know, like, so I'm sitting there at the table and I'm talking with George on the side, and and then we're in the chat and we're all trying to figure out what to do. And I just clicked in my head. I said, you know what, Tarook can do some of this stuff. Like Tarook does not have magic spells or anything like that. Like cool shit like Corrales, but I have raw power.
Right.
And I was like, I gotta try for this. Please let the dice gods be on my side, and I rolled well enough.
They were on your side. They weren't on mine.
Yeah,
Whew.
yeah, and it was, and because like I rolled well enough, and Tim allowing, for me to be able to save your character, to save Torin, like that was such a great moment. Like I felt really good about that,
Oh.
because you're
You
right.
should,
Like
because I was legit in like shock after that
I
session.
was sweating that you were gonna die, bro. Like that Torin was just gonna be, baby Rook food. Like that was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. I legit
like
went into the next room when I was done. I made a TikTok just going like this look on my face. I was like, well, my
yeah,
character almost died. What's the scariest moment you've ever had in D&D?
yeah, like it just, oh man, you know, that was epic, and it makes for great RP between Taruk and Tori because
Oh yeah. Because you'll
Taruk
hold it
always was
against him
like,
the whole time.
yeah, yeah, and like I don't know if anybody ever notices, but like I will slickly and like quietly like slip that in there in the middle of a conversation.
Oh, trust me,
Like
I catch it every single damn time. Every
be
single
like,
time.
like, oh man. I mean, yeah, I really can't choose and like narrow it down like which one like of Taruk's moments were my favorite. Like I just love them all.
Sure. No, I get it. I get it. It's been 2 years and it's hard to pick a, one solid moment. So speaking of moments and speaking of the 2 years that we've been at this, what would you like I'll ask two questions. I'd love to hear your answers and then we'll probably wrap up here. First thing is, what would you love to see Tarook do in the context of where we are in the story right now? What is something you'd love for Tarook to either try or end up doing or something of that nature?
Um hmm,
Like
uh,
like I'll give you an example. I would love to see Torin once Brian is back. Because the whole fingers crossed that we can save Brian.
yeah,
Once Brian is back, I would love to see Torin try to take on some kind of leadership role at the Hunters Guild
yeah,
and become like not just Hisma's apprentice, but like Hisma's right hand.
yeah.
So, like, what's
Um
something you'd like to see Taruk do along
I
those lines?
I would like to see Taruk start harnessing his werewolf abilities. That's something that
Nice.
Yeah, that's something that has been on my mind personally for a while. And I'm, always very patient. I
Right.
know that my time will come. Tim's incorporating me into it. Tim does an amazing job of giving everybody their moment, even if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not their story arc. Like we've all had crazy moments and we just finished one story arc. Like it's,
Yeah.
and now we're moving into the next one, which I believe is mine. But
Yeah, because I think there's a set of ruins right outside of Brian that we are gonna go
yeah,
investigate.
yeah, but
No,
that's
I'm sorry. The last time we played, Taruk was on an island and he was about to go on a
that's
little side quest there. So
yes,
we
yes.
when we inevitably pick back up, that's where we're gonna pick off is with Taruk on the island.
Yes. Yeah, like that's where I really want to see, and I want him to mend the relationship with V.
Okay.
Because we all had that epic
Yeah.
role play argument, which was phenomenal. We
Yes.
all,
Oh my gosh.
we
That
I
was such a cool moment
the look on Tim's face the whole
because
time said it
he just
all.
let it go.
He let it
And
go, and he was loving every minute of it. You guys,
oh,
me personally, I started feeling it, and I thought it was like I don't know what compelled me to whatever, but I just felt like Tarook needed to step up and say something to V when she was talking about secrets. And it
that
turned,
that
yeah,
was amazing
yeah,
because
it was
we've
phenomenal. V was great.
we were all clicking off one another because
Yeah,
the characters are yelling and shouting and screaming and they're in each other's faces while us the players we're all messaging each other going this is amazing. Like I legitimate
yes,
and George did too, and he has admitted to it in the
yeah.
past. We legit thought you were heated at Olive, and we
No,
legit thought things were about to break down, and you guys just had this moment and it was just beautiful. You guys going at it, and then like 5 seconds later we're in the chat going you two are going great job, you did wonderful. I'm like what just happened? Chef kiss. Chef kiss
beautiful.
good.
Nah, it was a perfect blend of spices. It
Oh
was,
so good.
yeah, it was just one of those things where, I don't, you know, I don't know where it exactly came from. I just felt like,
Mhm.
all right, like V always talks about secrets. Tarook, he revealed his secret. Now he's getting pissed off. And that's where, it just started to, kind of stem from,
Right.
you know, because like in Tarook's eyes, it was like, hey, we're all supposed to be this tight knit, group, like a family pretty much, and you're still having secrets and you're trying to protect us. And Tarook takes it as when V says protect you, Tarook doesn't take it in the way of, protect you, so you don't get hurt. Like Tarook takes it as like physically getting hurt or somebody trying to
Right.
kill Tarook.
Right.
Like where Taruk, where this cockiness that I talked about of Taruk comes in is like nobody can hurt Taruk.
Right.
Nobody can take Taruk one on one.
Right.
Nobody, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 5-on-1, 10-on-1. Nobody can take Taruk. So Taruk only deciphers, protect you as, oh, I have to protect you because you're weak and feeble when that's, like that's not Tarook at
There it
all. No,
is.
Tarook is the protector.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
needs protection from Tarook. Like Tarook is the one that lifts, the house up,
Oh yeah.
like, so that's where it started stemming from, and then we just went off from there, and then, and honestly, how you guys thought me and Olive were actually really like going at each other.
Mhm.
Joe Joe as Owen chimed in, and when he yelled, it kind of like startled me a little bit. And like I told George this, I
Mhm.
really thought Joe was like being like, oh, like he's really, getting at my
Mhm.
girl. Like I need to jump in character and like
Mhm.
defend her.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But like it was
Yep.
perfect timing, for Owen's part.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. All right. So the last question for the night, because I want to ask everyone this, and everyone's already got kind of an answer. If and when a campaign 2 happens, what do you think is in the future for you as a player, as a character? What do you think what are you looking at? What's a class? What's a race? Doesn't have to be the combination. What's the class or race that you look forward to in the future of playing the most?
Well, I've talked about this a whole bunch of times with George and Tim. And I've cycled through stuff, but I think no, actually, like I'm really, really, really gonna play a monk sorcerer.
Ooh, okay,
Because
okay.
I've played a rogue in the years past when George and I, when we were teenagers and we played. Love rogues. I was a halfling rogue. I love rogues. So I originally was like, hey, I'll play a rogue. But then I was like, you know what? I played a rogue. I think George wants to play a rogue in campaign too. Um, so I was like, all right, let me try something else. And I wasn't big on spellcasters because I love powerhouse. I love having, I love
Oh
having
yeah.
great strength, HP,
I get to hit
defense,
him how
whatever.
many times?
Yes, right. So I was like, oh, all right, like I'll be a badass monk. And then like I remember watching Critical Role, like the first campaign, and I was a
Okay.
few episodes in, and Tiberius, he did some cool shit as a
Mm,
sorcerer, as a dragonborn sorcerer, using those sorcerer points, and I was like, huh, I had an interest in that, and I started reading some of the sorcerer things and stuff like that, and then I was like, I don't know, and then watching Corrallos, George play Corrallos and
oh
casting
yeah.
these spells and doing some epic stuff. I was like, oh man, like I gotta try it. And then I was like, you know what? Who says spellcasters, can't be frontline guys? And I was like, all right, like I may not be able to be, a frontline guy, going up against a horde of barbarians as just a sorcerer, you know, and so I was like, I'll be a monk sorcerer, and I
Mhm.
think that's what I want to do. As for the race, I'm not sure. I was thinking Tabaxi, um, Leonin, um, or just a human.
Okay. I dig it. I dig that a
Yeah.
lot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sitting through and listening to us two yahoos talk about the Lord of the Bugbears, uh, the werewolf himself, Tarook Pie Fist.
Tarook Pie Fist. Oh,
It's
you
still
know
his
what?
name in the group chat. I
It
did that like 6 months ago and I never changed it.
is. It is. Oh, we never talked about my Horde of Plenty.
Mhm.
That's probably my favorite moment is when Tarook got the Horde of
The
Plenty.
Horn of Plenty. I'm
Sweet.
convinced that Tarook's gonna open a pie shop and just corner the market.
Oh yes,
That's
I am, baby.
Tarook's good ending is he's gonna be a pie shop owner. He's gonna be rich and famous.
Yes,
He's gonna be the cake boss of Thrandia, but with
the
pie.
pie boss,
The
the
pie
pie
boss.
boss up the Randia.
The pie boss of Thrandia. But
Yes,
Tim, thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for
it's a pleasure.
uh, you know, chatting, let me peek into Tarook and your inspiration when playing him, talking some character moments. Um for all our fans, thank you for watching. Thanks for sitting with us. Uh I made the announcement on Facebook today, and I'll make the announcement here as well. Brittany, my co-host, has left the show. We wish her all the best. There's
She's the
no
best.
absolutely. There's no animosity between her and the show. Just things didn't work out behind the scenes. So she's leaving. We hope for her the best. And that is kind of why there's been such a delay on Dice Hard because as anyone who's watched, Nat's kind of like an integral part to the group. She was kind of the heart of the
Absolutely,
party, and
absolutely.
so her stepping away has been a process, and uh, her not being able to play has kind of affected us all, and we just Tim made the call. I might be the host, but Tim's the DM. Tim made the call. Hey, we're not gonna play until everyone's minds on right and everyone's focused. So we will be coming back soon. We'll probably be coming back right around the time that these interviews are all complete. if not all of them, at least half. Uh, just because everyone's still getting their mind straight, and then scheduling conflicts with people being available to play again. But we are coming back. We are gonna give you guys more adventures in Thurandia. We are gonna save Brine. But we appreciate your patience. We appreciate you guys being there for us,
Yeah,
and
100%.
We just love and appreciate everyone who watches, whether it be curbside, whether it be Dice Hard, or whether it be the two of us yahoos at a live show. We appreciate the love and support. So as always, thank you guys for watching. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, tap the little bell on your YouTube app so you never miss an upload. Buy those shirts at prowrestlingtees.com. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next time.
Later.